All right, we are live. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Welcome in, everybody. Our session will start right on time, so we'll just have 2 more minutes for everybody to join us. If you have questions, let us know, and we're happy to answer them for you. And I'll go ahead and start recording as well. So this session will be also recorded, and we also share the recordings with you guys through email. All right, I think we are right on time. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. Welcome in, everyone, to today's session. We are very excited to have Westcliff University's team with us to do a presentation on the programs as well as CPT. And also, if you guys have questions coming in, we're also happy to answer them for you. So please feel free to type into the Q&A session. Today, we're very excited to welcome Rochelle from the admissions team. She's a senior admissions advisor. She's also a DSO. And then Gracie from the international outreach team. And also Doris, who some of you might have met from the admissions team as well. So today's session would be, we will do a presentation briefly touching on, the CPT programs, master's program, as well as doctoral programs. And, we'll break down how do I do the OPT SEVIS transfer? What are the steps? And also, is there any possible scholarships? What are the categories and, the general applications as well? And finally, we're going to talk about, how is studying and also on-site attendance going to affect my job if I wanted to do this? We're also going to have a longer second half of live Q&As with our university officials with Westcliff Universities. So definitely stay on the lives. If you have questions, we'll try to answer all of the questions for you guys. If you have another questions after this live session, I will encourage you to scan the QR code right now to connect with our consultant. So they'll also be the ones that providing additional answers for you guys. So before we jump into today's webinar session, I do want to talk a little bit about our brand. So we are Go Elite, located in Los Angeles. We're a professional consulting agency. Our services will include Day 1 CPT University applications, F1 reinstatement, emergency transfer assistance, as well as change of status application consultation assistance as well. So our missions is always to make international students' American dreams come true. We are certified by AIRC as one of the most respectful organizations in the American education industry. And we're also on Google reviews. So we currently have 355 Google reviews, and we are increasing that. So please feel free to check us out on Google to see what every other students say about us. And here is our website as well as our social media. So you can find us everywhere in Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, and everywhere. So without further ado, I will stop sharing and leave the stage to Gracie so you can start the presentation.
Thank you so much. And I see that there are questions already in the Q&A. Rochelle and Doris will be working on that, but I will also be answering these questions as I go through the presentation. So you can stay to watch that. You can look at the answers and you can compare all the information. Okay, great. All right, so again, thank you for joining us today. As Ryan was saying, my name is Gracie. I am part of the international outreach team. Any questions that you have about the programs, scholarships, and how to apply, I work with Ryan to get you that information. So this is Westcliff. This is a picture of our Irvine campus. And we've got several campuses available for you. Our home campus is in Irvine, where we are all located. But we also have additional locations in Los Angeles and Miami, depending on the programs that you are taking or what you want to study. We can help you with that flexibility. In terms of accreditation, we are accredited through WASC and CHIA. And our business program is accredited through ACBSP. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. Now, some fast facts about Westcliff. Just this past academic year, we took these statistics. Just over 5,000 students enrolled, and we represent over 100 different nationalities. So extremely diverse, a lot of different backgrounds coming into your classroom experience. We have a high graduation rate, 92%. And of the students that graduate, 85% see job placement either here in the US or in their home country. So we are here to support you and get you into your industry, okay? All right, so about the program breakdown, we've got 4 colleges. We've got College of Business, College of Technology and Engineering, and College of Education through Westcliff. We also have our College of Law through Western State. We're going to look at our general programs here. So you can see in yellow, we've got our degree programs. So you can look at those. And then from there, if you look at the programs below it, those are specializations or concentrations. So whatever you want to personalize your studies, you can choose one of these concentrations to get those needs. And if you'll notice the green S here, that means it is a STEM eligible program or concentration. So in terms of OPT, if you do want to extend that OPT, you can with these relevant STEM courses or degree programs. Now, about the formats, there are 2 formats available to you. We've got our weekly format on campus. Now, every class that you take will meet once a week for 3 hours. On our Irvine campus, all of those programs are available. Depending on our satellite campus, Los Angeles, for example, has the MBA program only. So again, we can help you with those needs if you have those questions. If we talk about the professional format, this is available to give you flexibility. So if you are 50 miles away from campus, we can do this schedule. This means that your course schedule is asynchronous with 1 weekend residency. That means 3 full days of class time, 1 time a semester. And then the rest of the time is asynchronous. And then the other half of the semester will be an online class for 3 hours, very, very similar to our regular format. In terms of homework, for our students, we have projects, papers, and discussion questions. Depending on the assignment, it depends on the due date, but it's very, very straightforward. And we have different resources to help you, including our writing center and our peer ambassadors, our student ambassadors, so that they can assist you with that work-life balance and study balance. Okay, so how to apply? We are very, very straightforward. We want to see an online application, and we need to see diploma and transcripts from you. We want to see a minimum 2.0 out of 4 for any undergraduate applications and a 2.5 out of 4 for any graduate or doctorate applications. For English proficiency, we want to see exam scores or a medium of instruction letter. You can see our most popular English proficiency scores here. If you have any questions, we are pretty flexible and we can figure out which exam score you might have and what would work for you.
Gracie,
We do not. Oh, yes.
I do want to add to our students that if you graduated from an U.S. institution previously, the English proficiency test should be waived. Is that correct?
That is correct. If you finish your associates or if you have a minimum 30 academic credits, I believe, then you meet the medium of instruction requirement or the English proficiency requirement to transfer to us. Yes.
That's right. If you're currently a OPT student, you already had a master or you had a bachelor in the US, you don't need TOEFL or Duolingo to apply to Westcliff.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for clarifying that. And then also, you do not need GMAT, GRE, or SAT for your application. So we just want to see the proof of diploma transcripts and then the English proficiency either from that completed degree or from an exam score. Okay, now for anyone who is currently in OPT or transferring in or thinking about transferring in, you can apply up until May 20th, and the soonest session will be the July start. If you apply for this July start, then we are looking at this tuition. So 14,310 per year for any master's and 17,100 for any incoming doctorate. And that is a 3-year program for the doctorate. I will be going over scholarships. Just give me one more minute. For the next academic year, please note that these will be the tuition prices. These tuition prices are due every semester. If you wish to have monthly installments, that is also fine too. You will just need to speak to your admissions advisor about this. Questions about housing, you can also ask us. The typical housing is going to be $800 to $1,200 a month through our third-party partners, USH, Homestay Match, or Residence. You have options of apartments, either shared or alone. And if you wish, you could do a homestay if you want. So we have those options available. Now, about scholarships. Scholarships are a separate application. We advise you to submit the application on our website. We will have a link. Ryan also has access to this link, but there are 4 steps. You will fill out the form. You will submit a very short essay, 350 to 500 words. You will provide 2 or 3 examples of supporting documents. They can be anything to support your motivation. Letters of recommendation, certificates, past newspaper articles from achievements, anything you wish that supports your ambitions on why you are coming to Westcliff, why you are studying what you are studying, and then you will submit it through that form. Any questions about the specific scholarships? We have up to $10,000 available to students per year. You can go to our website and you will click on each individual scholarship to see the requirements. So in this case here, you can see that this one has up to $5,000 awarded for this specific business scholarship at the graduate level. And we require a GPA, in this case, minimum 3.5. So please check that criteria so that you can fill out which scholarships you wish to apply to. You can apply to multiple scholarships in one form. Okay? All right. All right, now for CPT questions, these are, it's approved by our DSO, like Rochelle here. During the program, you will enroll in 1 credit per semester, and the CPT must be related to your degree. You are required to take the internship course, and you can choose between full-time or part-time CPT. So to be clear, part-time is 20 hours per week or less. Full-time is more than 20 hours per week. For CPT, please note that if you choose full-time, you may only do it for 12 months before it begins to affect your OPT. Okay, so any questions about that, feel free to talk to your advisor, feel free to talk to Ryan, but please note that full-time cannot be for the entire course of your program. It can only be for 12 months. Okay, required documents for CPT. We want to see the cooperative educational internship agreement that is signed by the employer. We want to see the employee offer letter to you, and we want to see proof of tuition payment. That is part of the new CPT application. All right, eligibility for CPT. Any new students will need to be at the undergraduate level enrolled for 1 academic year. For graduate and doctorate students, you may begin CPT as soon as you begin your studies. You just need to get in that application and speak to your advisor to make sure everything's good. Get that enrollment of that single credit in. and we can get you started. For the current students, we want to see a maintenance GPA. So at the graduate level, a GPA of 3.0 or above, you are eligible for the full time if you wish. A GPA of 2.5 or above, you are eligible for part-time. And we do review your GPA per session. So please note that if you have any questions, please ask us. All right, now the academic expectations. We're talking about GPA. So what makes a successful GPA? With class schedule, again, classes meet one time a week for 3 hours. So at the graduate level, that is approximately 3 credits a session, okay, usually in the evening. At the undergraduate level, it's slightly different, sometimes the afternoon or evening. And depending on your schedule, it can either be 1 or 2 times per week. The attendance and classroom policies, you can request a change in schedule by week 2. That is the deadline. You are expected to attend every class. If you are absent, you are responsible for completing any missed work. And you must speak to your professor and your advisor about these things in order to make sure that that work is counted. Students are allowed 1 excused absence. Both attendance and classroom participation, and that depends on the professor. It could be speaking on every question. It could be working on the project. Depending on that, attendance and classroom participation are factors towards the final grade. So those do affect your final grade and your GPA. Okay. All right. Now, lastly, the thing that I want to mention is the internship requirement for the graduate level. So there are 2 ways for the internship. You can apply your knowledge in your relevant field of work and gain practical training. This is also a networking opportunity for you. So there is an internship course plus the employer internship, and that is a requirement typically in the last semester of your studies. Your advisors will speak to you about that, and you have the opportunity to ask questions on how you can take advantage in that program. Okay, any other questions about CPT or OPT, you need to contact your admissions advisor, okay? All right, so we're looking at the timeline, what you can expect on your path as a Westcliff student. You will apply through Go Elite and you will get your advisor assigned. Our admissions department is quite large, but they are here and ready to help you. And all of your updates will be through your application portal and through the assistance of Go Elite. Through the admission, you'll submit those required documents I discussed. We will evaluate those transcripts and make sure that everything matches. And then you will receive your acceptance letter. Once you do that, you will also attend an advising session to discuss with your admissions advisor the next steps on how to prepare for registration and enrollment. From there, we have an I-20 request form where we need to see all of the supporting documents, bank statements, sponsor documents, dependent documents, and from there you will get a digital I-20. Then you are responsible for the SEVIS transfer. So depending on your situation, we will talk to you about those steps. But please note that the deadline to transfer your SEVIS is about 1 week prior to your start date. Then with the enrollment, we will give you the registration forms. You will complete the tuition deposit and you will begin your registration for CPT. At this point, you will also speak to your student services advisor regarding your class schedule and, if you wish, any academic questions or counseling in order to prepare you for your courses. From there, under registration, you will attend the new student orientation to learn about the new online resources that you have as a student, how to access your class information, etc. Okay? So we walk you through that path. Any of us can definitely answer your questions throughout this whole time. So we are here for you. All right. So lastly, in general, why Westcliff? We are very, very flexible. We want to make sure that we give you all of the opportunities for both study and work. We have payment plans per semester and scholarships for international students like you. If you are not located in Irvine right now, you should know that Irvine is the #1 safest city in America and voted the #1 best place to live in California. There are a lot of different opportunities here, both socially and professionally. Our work opportunities are both CPT and OPT, and I hope that our presentation showed you all of the different resources and help that we can have when you want to start those things. And lastly, we are extremely flexible. So I gave you the May 20th deadline for anyone who is currently transferring or interested in transferring to Westcliff. The next start date after that is the end of August. So we have a start date every 2 months. Whenever you are ready, we are ready for you. Okay, so I am going to end now. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. You can contact Ryan at goelite.us. And now we'll take it to Q&A. So hopefully we can help you there.
Thank you so much, Gracie. That was a very, very detailed presentation, and myself learned a lot from your presentation as well. So thank you so much. We'll waste no time, jump right into the Q&A, and we will have Doris as well as Rochelle from the admissions team. They will also be, tuning in to answer everybody's questions. So the ones that I already marked is answered in the Q&A session. So everybody should be able to see the answers if you go in the Q&A. But I do wanted to emphasize on a couple of the questions. If we see that repeating, we know that students are caring about that the most. So for example, the first questions, if I continue to work 40 hours a week on day 1 CPT during a DBA program throughout the 3 years of the course, is that allowed? And I think the answer is yes, right?
Correct. So you are able to work full-time. Anything over 20 hours a week is considered full-time, and you can work throughout the entire degree program, whether it's master's or doctorate. Just keep in mind, as Gracie mentioned, the moment you hit 12 months of full-time CPT, you are disqualified from OPT later. So we usually advise, if you're interested in OPT, don't go over 11 months of full-time work throughout the entire degree. You can do as much part-time CPT as you want, anything less than 20 hours a week, and still qualify for OPT later.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rochelle, for again addressing this questions. And we'll go to number 2. So can you tell me a little bit more about the doctoral programs and, the publication and graduation requirements if I wanted to do the DBA?
So for the DBA program, highly recommend going to the university website, as it does give a full breakdown of each year and what classes will be in each year. Each year of the 3 years, you are going to be starting your dissertation research, learning how to research, learning what topics you might be interested in. And that first year, you will be able to pick your dissertation chair or the main professor that you will be working with throughout the entire 3 years. So you're not going to be necessarily assigned, but you will get the option to pick your top choices, and you will be assigned from your choices. And you can always change your chair during your second year if the second choice maybe isn't already full.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the next one. I'm an international student and I applied for MSIT. So which concentration, with concentration in cloud computing, are these scholarship, open to me? And how do I apply? I think we kind of answered this already, but we wanted to refresh everybody.
Yes, on our scholarships page, if you go to the scholarships portion of the website, there is a specific section per degree for our goal scholarship. So the goal scholarship is based on program. So you can expand the information technology section of that specific scholarship and see if you qualify. But you can also apply to any of the scholarships that you qualify for on the website. You can apply to multiple if you qualify for more than one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned about the DBA page. We
Mhm.
also mentioned about scholarship pages. Sometimes it's hard for students to identify them. So a good thing is that you can scan the QR code right now. Our consultant will be able to deliver all the links that you might wanted to see, to explore. We can help answer more questions. So please talk to your consultant if you have one, or scan the QR code so we can further help you. And we're going to jump into question number 5. So if I enroll into a course and get my H-1B a few months after enrollment. So where does that leave me with this program?
And that is a great question, and one I did want to answer live. So we do have a lot of students applying for H-1B, and I know it is something everybody's really excited for. If you do get your H-1B approval, you can still continue your degree. You would then be considered a domestic student. As an H visa holder, you would be able to take classes 100% online. You can take part-time classes as well. And as a domestic student, online classes are quite a bit cheaper. So you can finish your degree still if you wanted to, and at a cheaper rate. If you wanted to take a break from your degree, that's also fine too. If you want to end your program and continue on later, that's also acceptable. But it is a lesser cost if you did want to complete your degree. So you're not wasting that time and energy on starting and having to stop.
We'll go directly to number 8. So does Westcliff University reinstate international students with CVIS record and completed status?
Yes and no. So if your CVIS record has either been completed or terminated, you do want to reach out to our admissions team. An admissions advisor can assist through the reinstatement process with you. There is a letter that you do need to write out the circumstances surrounding your completion or termination, why wasn't action taken or what actions were taken since falling out of status or completing status. Depending on how long you've been out of status or completed status, we can potentially approve reinstatement. One of our DSOs, like myself or the rest of our team, would be able to review. If approved and you are accepted to your program, you can give the acceptance letter to your current school to transfer your completed or terminated record to us. We can then give you your new reinstatement I-20, and you can begin the reinstatement process through USCIS. Just keep in mind, you're not able to do CPT or work until you do get that reinstatement approved by USCIS.
Thank you so much. That is well put. Moving on to the next one, I do want to talk a little bit about H4 because we do see lots of applicants coming from an H4. And if you do change your status, you are absolutely allowed to use F once you are successful to use F1 and then CPT to work. So people wanted to understand more. If I'm right now, I'm on H4 visa. So I would like to know more about how do I apply and then get into the program and hopefully get a CPT.
Yes, to my knowledge, H4 students, if you didn't want to change status, if you just want to study on H4, you can study part-time as an H4 dependent. If you are H1B, you can study full-time or part-time if you want. If you want to go through change of status and get your F1, that's possible too. You don't have to start classes right away. You can wait until you get an F1 approval. With F1 visa, we can provide CPT approval and work authorization. We're just not able to give any kind of work authorization while someone is on an H visa.
Absolutely. So next question is, we wanted to circle a little bit back to the F1 reinstatement. The student wanted to know, is this possible to do premium processing if they wanted to F1 reinstatement?
To my knowledge, you can submit for premium processing. That would be more through an immigration attorney or an immigration lawyer. I do know premium processing is usually available for change of status. I'm not 100% sure on reinstatement applications for that. It can get pretty expensive, but a lawyer would be your best option for those for that process.
Great point. Again, I want to emphasize this session will be more of an education session. We're not offering any kinds of legal advice. So if you are seeking legal advice, we advise you to talk to an immigration attorney. They're the best to answer those questions. And yeah, so this person wanted to understand a little bit more about what programs are available in the California campus.
So our Irvine, California campus is our main campus. all of our programs are available at our Irvine main campus. The difference with that is modality. Not all of our programs offer a professional format. So if you are living in Oregon and you're interested in our California campus options, not all of the programs might be have the hybrid online on-campus option. But if you live in Irvine or near our Irvine campus, all of our programs are available on a weekly format. We do also have our new LA campus that offers weekly format for the MBA program.
Sounds great. And I know in the presentation, Gracie spent a long time talking about scholarships, and people are getting so interested into scholarships that I wanted to bring this up again. So, some people are joining us middle way. I wanted to let them know also, do Westcliff have scholarships? How do I apply for scholarship? How this works.
Yeah. So on the university website, if you do hover over tuition and fees, that shows where scholarships and grants are. And it does show a step-by-step how to apply. You do have to see if you qualify for your scholarship of choice. There are about 5 different scholarships on the website that we offer. Some of those are based on programs. Some of those are based on your home country. Some of those are based on GPA and merits. So you can go through each one and see which ones you do qualify for. You'll write an essay based on the different prompts for each one. You'll want to upload some of your supporting documents, any letters of recommendation that you have, or certifications, and then you would submit all of those with the application. They do have different deadlines, like the deadline for our summer scholarship applications already passed, but we're still taking applications right now for fall, and that deadline is July 7th. So if you applied today for a scholarship, it would go towards our fall semester, and scholarship awards are usually issued 2 weeks after the deadline has ended.
Right, and those scholarships will be directly deducted by the tuitions, or how do they distribute them?
Good question. It depends on the scholarship. They will usually send you a letter saying, congratulations, you've been awarded a $1,000 scholarship annually. If it says a certain amount annually, that will be divided by per semester. So $1,000 divided by 3 semesters, and that specific amount would be deducted from your tuition. So it does depend on which scholarship you got and which one you qualified for and for how much, but it usually is an annual scholarship. And if you are awarded, that usually continues. You get it, each year, so long as you maintain your grades.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Rochelle. This question, also question 16, I know we answered them already in the Q&A session, but I wanted to bring this up. So I have around 15 years of experience, including 6 years in the US. So do I still need to take the English proficiency test? So I assume this person didn't have a US degree in this case, but had worked in US. Would that help?
Unfortunately, in order to have English proficiency, you have to have at least 30 credits of university in the US for US to be your qualifier. So if those 15 years of experience have included classes up to 30 credits, then that would be your English proficiency. Otherwise, if it's just working, unfortunately, we would need some other form of English test.
Right. And if a student come to our consultant, we'll always advise you to take a Duolingo test, because I find out Duolingo sometimes is the most effective, efficient, and give you the result faster. And if you do have these amount of experience, I think you can bypass those quests and you can get a score pretty easy. I would say so. So we wanted to move on to the next question. So this one is also important. I think, is PTE accepted as English proficiency test?
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, Gracie.
Yeah, I can say that.
Sounds good. So, right. So next question, how many times I should attend on-campus classes if I live in a different state?
So for the professional format, it depends on the state. There are a few states that don't have authorization to study at private universities out of state. But if you are in an approved state, we have our professional format. Within that format, most of your classes are online. And one weekend each semester, you would be on campus, whether you're attending our California campus or our Florida campus. One weekend per semester, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days in a row, you would be on campus for your classes. The rest are online.
Right. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to question number 21. So what does Westcliff's travel policy looks like for international students working full-time on CPT?
Yes, so travel, we usually recommend students only travel during the breaks in between semesters. We can provide travel authorization on your I-20, and that is valid for a whole year. However, traveling in and out of the US while classes are in session can cause issues upon return. At the border, they might ask, why aren't you in class right now? So we usually recommend don't travel more than a week or two and travel only during the breaks. You can work full time even if you are traveling. And after you've studied a full year, you can take an entire semester off and travel throughout that time too. And you can work even if you are taking a break from your actual degree. You can always enroll yourself in that CPT course still.
Right, absolutely. Next question is very important as well. So do we need to renew CPT every semester, or is it a once a year?
Currently, it is every semester. There are renewal periods, and it's essentially just letting us know that you are still currently with your current employer and you want to keep working because CPT isn't mandatory. It's not required. So we do need you to let us know each semester that you want to keep working.
Right. Next one, I don't know if I'm able to put that out for you, but I do wanted to ask the team. So what is the program start date of a session beginning in next year, January?
The January start date is January 6th of 2025.
Right. So if your OPT is ending by December, January, I highly encourage you to, get to know more about the program, start application as soon as possible so you have more time, to navigate through this whole process. And right. So next question, also very interesting. To enroll into a DBA degree, do we need an MBA already, or can I use my other MS degree?
You can have any master's degree to apply for our doctorate program. There are a few prerequisite classes that they might enroll you in during your first year if you needed some additional like business experience. But any master's degree can potentially qualify for our doctorate programs.
Right. So next question. So I think this person wanted to know more about, the minimum balance requirement, or some people might know as the financial statement. So my work is considering to sign in affidavit for me in a situation so I take it as, if I'm sponsored by my employer. So if they don't, would my debit or school loan suffice for this?
Yes. So essentially for I-20 purposes, you do need to show a minimum of liquid funds. So those funds do need to be readily available to withdraw. So we don't accept like credit cards or credit. Loans, like a student loan or an educational loan, is acceptable. And your debit credits, checking or savings or debit statements would all qualify. If you don't have the minimum funds yourself, you can have a sponsor like a family member or a friend. They would sign an affidavit and provide their own statement. If your work or employer does want to sponsor you, that's wonderful. They would also provide a bank statement or like a bank letter saying that they have the minimum funds available. And we would also need a letter from your employer authorizing the use of company funds for your education.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Rochelle. Moving on, let me see all the questions. So this is another good one. So if I have already used my OPT during my previous master's, do I again get an OPT after this degree? I assume you're taking another master's, but we can talk about both situations if you're taking master's or doctoral.
So you're able to do OPT per education level. So after you do a bachelor's degree, you can do OPT. After you do master's degree, you can do OPT. And after you do a doctorate degree, you could do OPT. But if you've done your master's and OPT at the master's level, you can't do another master's and get OPT again. OPT is one and done per degree level. But if you did your master's in science and now you want to go for a doctorate, then yes, you could potentially get OPT after finishing the doctorate program because that's a next level up.
Right. And one thing, I know we talked about this a lot, but one thing to remind you is that even though if you don't have a doctoral degree completed, if you use full-time CPT for more than 12 months, you might still not be eligible for OPT again. So some students might, if you do want an OPT, they might take part-time CPT depending on your own situations. All right, so moving on. So let me see all the questions. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So how many days prior to current OPT end date should I initiate the CVIS transfer?
Good question. So for CVIS transfer, the latest you want to transfer your CVIS record is 1 week before classes start. So if a student is interested in our July intake, the next intake, the week before classes start would be June 24th. You can transfer it sooner than that if you wanted to. It depends on your OPT end date. But if, say, your OPT ends June 1st and you transfer your CVIS record today, it'll end your OPT early. So you want to make sure you don't end it too early. You don't want to transfer your record too soon, or it could end your OPT too soon. But the latest you want to transfer is 1 week before classes start if you're interested in CPT authorization the first week of class.
Right, next question, I just want to briefly go through this again. So this person wanted to know, do I apply for scholarship before or after I apply for the master's program? So I understand you always apply for a scholarship once you have been admitted and also you wanted to enroll. So that's when you apply for scholarship.
Correct. Yes, you do want to have an application submitted at least, and ideally like accepted to your program. You can still submit the scholarship application, but it's more likely to be actually reviewed if you've already been accepted.
Right. All right, let's go to question 35. So by current student CPT allowance for CPT eligibility, does that include those who are on F1 OPT?
So I'm not 100% sure what you mean by allowance in regards to like OPTs.
Maybe the person wanted to understand like who is eligible for CPT in that general sense. Is F1 OPT eligible? I think the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, again, for any of our programs, you can qualify potentially for OPT at the end, either 1 year regular OPT or potentially that STEM extension, so long as you so long as you do not hit that 12 months of full-time CPT.
Right. Next one, a very, brief question. So how many months long is a semester? How long is a semester?
Each semester is 16 weeks, so give or take around 4 months.
Yeah, and Westcliff does have 3 semesters throughout the year. So it would be, if you wanted to if you're a professional student coming to campus once every semester, you're probably looking at coming to campus 1 weekend every 4 months. All right, so next one, are classes asynchronized or live for graduate students?
So for our professional format for F1 students, classes are live. You are expected to be present, even if the classes are online. Your professors do take attendance throughout the class. If you are on like an H visa, domestic, studying 100% online, I do believe the classes are still live and you are still expected to attend.
Right. Next one, if I don't care about OPT, can I continue working full-time throughout the whole program? Yes, you can.
Yes, so long as it doesn't affect your grades.
All right. Okay, let's go to 41. All right, is there a recording of this session? Yes, we will also gonna be sending emails to everybody who attend and didn't attend. So you will be receiving the recordings from today's session. But if you didn't have your question answered, or if you didn't, attend the previous session, feel free to go back to the webinars to look at, the Gracie's presentation about the programs, about the schools, that could answer your questions as well. So, and you can always scan the QR code or talk to the consultant you have been contacting, and we can provide answers your way as well. All right, so let's move on. So what are the grades I need to maintain while doing full-time jobs on CPT for MBA and then for the doctoral?
For both master's and doctorate degrees, you do need to maintain a 3.0 in order to work full-time. If you drop below a 2.99, you would only be eligible for part-time work. And if your grades drop even further below a 2.49, you will not get CPT authorization.
Right, absolutely. So next one, also very important. Does the CPT start after class start, or can it start before the class start?
We never guarantee CPT authorization the very first day of class. It does depend on you, the student, whether you complete all requirements, registration, orientation, attendance, CPT application. If you complete everything on time, then CPT authorization is usually issued in order of completion when classes have started. We don't usually authorize CPT before the session has started at all because classes haven't started yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So next one, 45, for foreign students and also for somebody under a different visa, probably H4, other visas. Do we need to submit WES evaluated transcripts, or should I just submit the university transcripts that I had for another country?
Great question. We do accept WES and any NACIS approved international evaluation. It will make your application go a lot faster. I do recommend if you already have a WES evaluation, yes, please provide it. Your application will go so much faster, so much smoother. You don't need to, and I know most of those are paid services. You don't have to provide a WES or NACIS eval. It does just take a bit longer for our internal evaluation team to complete the transcript evaluation. It can take a couple of weeks sometimes.
Right. So moving on to questions 46. Is it okay if we do not apply for CPT for a semester or two? If we don't work, we don't do internships, is it okay? And do you need to have a job to start the program?
So CPT is not required. It's not mandatory. You do not need to work throughout your degree program. There is at least one semester of an internship experience required to graduate, and you can do that either through CPT or we have what's called our SMART capstone that you could do that in a classroom setting. But if you want to qualify for CPT, yes, you do need a job offer in order to enroll in that CPT internship class, but you don't need a job offer to enroll in your degree program.
Absolutely. Question 48. Do we receive digital I-20 before the SEVIS transfer or after the SEVIS transfer?
Well, we can't provide your I-20 if we don't have your SEVIS record yet. So first, your current school would transfer your SEVIS record to us, and then we would create our I-20 with it. It's usually called a transfer pending I-20. And then after classes start, you would get your continued attendance I-20 and or CPT I-20.
That's right. Okay, let's move on. All right, I think we talked about the SEVIS transfer procedure already. If you come in midway of our session, I highly encourage you to watch the recordings. Gracie talked a lot more about SEVIS transfer in her presentations, so definitely check it out. And then move on to other questions. I'm currently under OPT and working full-time. Do I have to be rehired if I want to transfer my SEVIS to CPT program with the same job, same employer?
No, we do require an updated job offer letter or an updated job verification letter, just letting us know that as of 2024, you're still currently employed. You didn't recently lose your job. So you don't have to quit and be rehired though. Once you transfer your SEVIS record, your OPT does end, but you don't have to quit. Most students will just take an unpaid vacation or an unpaid leave of absence, unless your employer would rather do an end and rehire. It's entirely up to your employer what process they want to do.
Absolutely. So next question. So how is the CPT renewal process?
Great question. So for students, if you currently have your current job and you already applied for CPT, you already got that approval, you already submitted your job offer letter, cooperative agreement, all those things to get CPT, and you plan to keep working in the same job, same employer, nothing has changed, then each semester you would just submit a CPT renewal form and pay for the class again. That's it. It's just the renewal form and payment for that one credit class. You don't need to re-upload all those documents if we already have them. If you plan to renew with a new employer, though, we would need your new job offer, the new cooperative agreement from the new employer.
Yeah, absolutely. So next question for the attendees who are interested in the July 1st session, would the May 20th be the last day to transfer my SEVIS number?
No, May 20th is that's the application deadline. So the last day usually recommended to submit your application is May 20th. The last day for SEVIS record transfer, though, is a week before classes start, so June 24th.
Right. If you do have a specific timeline saying that, hey, my OPT ends in this time, when it would be the best time for me to just do the SEVIS transfer and apply and everything like that, please talk to our consultant. So they are the professionals to guide you through the school applications and make sure that you can get into the school and start CPT on time. All right. So taking a look at the other question, we do have lots and lots of questions. So that is a good thing. And thank you so much for Rochelle. I know you gotta catch up for a minute because there's lots of questions coming in. But thank you guys so much for answering the questions for our students. So going to question 61, is the employer required to join CPT? I get it as is the employer required to agree on a certain documentations or give you any kind of things to approve the CPT?
Yes, in order to even submit a CPT application, you do need those 3 items of job offer letter, cooperative agreement signed by the employer, and tuition payment for that one credit class. So if you don't have an employer or a job offer letter yet, you would not be able to submit a CPT application.
Right. I cannot emphasize this enough because sometimes, students take it as a hassle because I have to talk to my employer, my manager. But majority of universities requires you to do so, actually to protect your own SEVIS record. Because if, for example, you're going for an H-1B for a green card applications, when the immigration officers is reviewing your previous documentations, they need to see those documents. And if they see suspicious, they become suspicious about, hey, if this person didn't have, an employer agreeing him doing CPT, how did he ended up having those authorizations? And you might be in trouble if you join those immigrations applications. So the schools have those requirements to mainly protect yourself so that you could have evidence, you could have documents that you could provide as saying that what I do is legit. And this is actually very important for students on sake as well. So if you contacted a school that could just give you CPT, no problem right away, that might be, a red flag sometimes. So just from my experience. And moving on. So does my
really quick, question 59 before we scroll. I know it's asking current student, does that include F1 OPT? Current student refers to a current Westcliff student. You do need a student ID with us to submit that CPT application. So if you are on OPT at another school and you haven't applied with us or you haven't registered with us yet, you would not be considered a current student. You can still be on OPT, get registered, get your student ID, and apply before OPT has ended, but you do need that ID with us to apply.
Right, absolutely. All right, let's go to the new question. Does my employer need to sign the renewal or to rehire me every semester?
No. So every semester, it is a class. It is an internship class that you are enrolling in. And at the end of that class, there is a survey that your employer needs to complete in order to pass that class, basically saying, yes, you are still employed throughout the duration of the class. If they don't complete that survey, then you might not be able to reapply for CPT. But for the actual CPT renewal, you don't need to resubmit all of those like cooperative agreements, job offer letters, everything again. If it's the same employer, same job, we already have those. They don't need to keep resubmitting them.
Sounds great. Next one, also very worth to note. Can we take a semester break after 1 year?
Yes, so long as you've completed the number of credits required. So for bachelor students, the minimum number of credits, let me double check, I believe is 24 credits for bachelor students. So if you complete 24 credits, then after that year is done, you can take your semester break. For master's and doctorate students, you need to complete 18 credits before you are allotted a year break. So if at any point you take a break or part-time or medical, anything like that, if you don't complete those 18 credits, you wouldn't be able to take the semester off.
Right. A few things to add. First thing is that usually you take 2 classes every semester, so you're looking at around 6 credits. So if you count CPT in, that will be additional credits, but usually people can take a break after every 3 semesters. So if you enter a Westcliff for this summer, you're looking at you can start a full-time break during the next summer. And then also for the next summer, when you're taking the break, you are eligible to sign up for CPT classes and do full-time CPT while still continue your work, but you don't have to come to campus and also do the online classes during then. All right. So next one, just to emphasize on this, if I work part-time for 2 years, will I still be qualified for OPT?
Yes. You can do as much part-time work as you want. Part-time is anything less than 20 hours a week. So you could do part-time your 1 year, 2 year, 3 years if it's your doctorate and still potentially qualify for OPT later. It's full-time, anything more than 20 hours a week that can affect your OPT application.
Right. And another thing is that if you had a master's OPT, you are automatically not qualified for another master's OPT. Rochelle emphasized on this before. OPT under every degree level is unique. You only had that once. If you had that one time, you're gonna have to take a different degree to be qualified for a OPT. So let's just move on. Next one, if I apply to a green card, can I still register for the MBA degree?
Yes, green card is considered domestic. So if you already have a green card like approved, you can apply as a domestic student and take classes 100% online. If you are still in that application process, though, if you're still currently on like an F1 visa or something else, you can also still apply for classes while in that approval period.
Right. Question 66 is very important, I think. Is it recommended to start an MS program before my OPT ends, or can we use the 60 days grace period to start the program after, my OPT expires?
That's entirely up to you and your work. Essentially, like say, if your OPT ends on July 15th, our next start date is July 1st. And the start date after that is September. So if your OPT ended July 15th, you could wait for OPT to end and then transfer to us, but then you would be waiting all the way until the next start date to begin classes again. If you didn't want such a huge gap, you could start July 1st and end your OPT early. And that's entirely up to you. The duration, the gap in work authorization is entirely up to you and your employer.
Right. I just took a look at all the questions. We have more than 100 questions.
Oh,
And
no.
I want to also take a time to thank Doris so much for typing in your answers so that everybody could see the written answer to the questions. And me and Rochelle and Gracie will kind of take times to read out those questions. We find out more common that's all the students wanted to know about. So moving on, if a student gets selected in H1B, but 12 months of CPT runs out. Oh, so this is a very unique situation. Runs out in June or July, and H1B doesn't start until October. So what can that person do?
Oh gosh, that is a very complicated question.
Right. I think I saw those kind of situation before. I can kind of jump in so you guys can have a better picture of what this is. So maybe this guy's the program finished before October when is the H1B kicking in. So if you get selected usually the H-1B is become effective if you stay in the US, become effective on August 1st. So for example, if I graduated in May and then I get selected before I graduated, but I still have some gap between, May to October, what can I do? Because I can't work because I'm graduated. I don't have CPT anymore.
And honestly, for anything regarding the cap gap, we usually refer to the immigration lawyers or immigration attorney for the best advice.
Right, absolutely. And I talk to students who run into these situations. So some of them would stay in school. And so, for example, if you did MBA, you can also take more classes and pursue another DBA. So that would be a good transition to take another semester or 2 other semesters before your H-1B click in. And then if you do wanted to, pursuing full-time job and wanted to, withdraw from the school, you are absolutely allowed to. It will be totally up to you. All right. So what is the email address or contact information of admissions team? So great questions. We will advise you to talk to our consultants, but if you have specific questions that we couldn't answer for you, we're more than happy to guide you through admissions and also DSOs if you get admitted. So let us know what is your concern. We can provide the contact information of Westcliff's admissions team as well as their other teams if they can help you. So definitely let us know. We're happy to help you. All right, moving on. We have lots and lots of questions. Let's go to the questions that haven't been answered yet. So what happens if I'm outside of the US before my program start date?
Well, it depends on your current visa status. If you are obviously an initial student coming into the US for the first time, that's fine. You just want to enter before classes have started. If you are currently on an F1 visa and you are out traveling, highly recommend communicate with your current school regarding that travel authorization. They might have advice getting that travel authorization on your current I-20 so you can re-enter without issue. Again, we don't usually recommend traveling on the transfer pending I-20. So if you are currently with a current school on OPT or on your grace period traveling and you transfer your record to us, it's not recommended for us to give you that transfer pending before classes have started with authorization. We can, but it is kind of at your own risk when you re-enter to explain the situation of you are starting a new program.
Sounds good. I just take a look. We have 133 questions. Everyone that you ask is great, but unfortunately, our session is coming to an end. I think we're able to answer more than 100 questions. That is incredible. Thank you to Rochelle and Doris. If your questions haven't been answered, you don't have to worry about that. Talk to our consultants, scan the QR code. We are able to answer them for you, or we can connect you with Rochelle or any of the other admissions to help you. So don't worry about that. And I do want to take a moment to thank everybody who come into today's sessions. If you want further help regarding choosing the school, applying to the schools, we're here for you. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank Rochelle, Gracie, and Doris to helping out all the students and your amazing presentations as well as the Q&A session assistant. I really appreciate everybody coming in, and hopefully we see everybody very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Yes, thank you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.